Hi there, Jean Greer here at Stylish Fireplaces. Today I want to introduce you to the Dimplex Optimyst system, specifically their cassette series. So the name on those would be CDFI500P or CDFI500P. The 500 and the 1000 refer to the width of the units, so 1000 being 1000 millimeters or 1 meter, 40 inches. That's the one that I have here installed. The 500 would be half a meter, 500 millimeters, or 20 inches. So it's a cassette system, meaning that we can put multiple cassettes together to create very long extensions, very long fireplaces. So it often gets used in series for large lobbies and public spaces where we want a 100-inch fireplace, so they'll take 5 of the 20-inch cassettes and put them together to make a very long fireplace. What we've installed here is a single 40-inch unit, so the CDFI500P. It's a cassette series, meaning that it is not something that you put into the wall vertically. It is, imagine a big metal box, which essentially it is. If you think of a car battery, but bigger. It's empty so that it can be filled with water. There's a water reservoir inside. And these flames are basically water vapor, mist, that's being generated from the inside of the unit. And I can put my hand in there. It's not steam, it won't burn anyone, so it is very safe for public spaces in that regard. It's a tap water, so it is designed to work with tap water, just like the cool misters that you would buy in the drugstore if you wanted a little more moisture in your air, or if somebody were ill and you wanted to have some more moisture in the air. It's a cold water based system, so it's based on tap water. There are refillable bottles inside here that we can refill manually, but you can also connect this to a plumbing line. So there's a little plumbing kit that you can get from Dimplex to allow this unit to be connected to a plumbing line so that the water reservoir refills itself and nobody has to refill it. Obviously, that's ideal for some of those bigger installations in commercial settings where there really isn't going to be anybody who's going to have that responsibility, nor would they want to be constantly filling 100 inches of water reservoir. If you've got one unit in your home and you're not running it more than a few hours at a time, generally speaking, you're going to refill that maybe once a week. We run ours all day long in the showroom, obviously, so the reservoir will hold enough water for about 8 to 12 hours, depending on how much mist we have coming out of it. So the refillable bottles are not terribly onerous, but it can be plumbed. So if you have the opportunity and you're renovating and you're able to run a plumbing line nearby, you could connect this to the plumbing line and it would keep itself refilled. So there are various settings for the flames. There are what they call spacers, so we can make this flame look more ribbon-like for a more contemporary effect. We've got ours set to look a little more natural. And it's basically the mist is being lit from tinted lights underneath, LED bulbs that are lighting it up. And there is no heat in the cassette system itself. However, there is an optional heater that can be installed above. So when you have this structure up here, this is hollow, the heater would be up here and it would blow the heat out and away from the mist here so that it wouldn't interfere with this. This is very much like a candle flame. So it is a physical presence, so air will move it. You do have to be careful that it's not in a drafty area, for instance, that there is some protection, because it will be constantly moving that mist around if it's in a very drafty area. This does require some air movement underneath the structure. So you can't see it on the front of my structure, but on either end of this wall, we have ventilation openings built into the structure. It needs to take in a certain amount of air from underneath. So although this is wide open, It does need air from underneath. That is critical to it operating properly. It's not something you want to skip over when you're reading through the instructions on how to install it. It's one of the mistakes that we see the most often. It does require air circulation below. So there is a requirement for that. It's outlined in the manual, and it needs to be built into the structure below the unit. So something to keep in mind. This is a truly custom unit. It's not something that you can just buy and put into an existing fireplace. As I say, it's just a big metal box. When you see what's below here, it's like a bit like an iceberg. 90% of what is going on here is below the surface of this structure. You're only seeing the very top of it and the result of what's going on. So it is a very customizable unit. It's something that you have to design around. It's not something you're going to come to halfway through a project and say, oh, I'll just take that and put it into my wall. It's not that sort of unit. It does require a little bit of depth to build out the structure. We're at about 19 inches of depth here, but that's a little more than it has to have. We just wanted a little bit of space around it, but you will need 16 to 18 inches minimum to take care of this. We have chosen to keep it with the standard flat top here, and we could put anything we want on top of that, but keeping in mind that I've got to lift this top up in order to get to the water reservoir, so I don't want to pile anything on top. It's going to be too difficult to move. There is a log kit available that looks like this. So those logs would be put on top of the unit, and they plug into the base unit and light up, so they look as if they're burning. So for a more traditional installation, those logs are an option. Otherwise, the flat top is the standard. And there's also a plug kit available. So this is a direct wire unit, but it can be put on a plug kit like many of the direct wire units these days. There is an optional plug kit, so if that were a preference, you could get a plug kit to put onto it. And I think that covers most of the features that are of interest on the CDFI1000P and the CDFI500P. Again, it's from Dimplex. It's part of their Optimyst series, their Optimyst collection of water-based fireplaces. They are electric, and you'll find them at stylishfireplaces.ca under Dimplex if you're shopping by brand, and under fireboxes and inserts, or linear fireplaces if you're looking by style.